I'm a woman who loves the water, a woman who stands by the water. Those are my two given names by my family and my people. I live on Standing Rock Reservation. Standing Rock was created for Sitting Bull's people. Sitting Bull was Hunkpapa Lakota. Hunkpapa is the horn of the buffalo. That means that we are the vanguard of the Sioux Nation. And we're best in crisis. So challenge us. And when we're in best in crisis, we're going to meet your match or we're going to beat you. It's our history.
In North Dakota, activists are scrambling to make sure Native Americans can vote next week. They are a key bloc for Democrats, but a recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling upheld the Republican legislature's changes to voter ID requirements. North Dakota voters now need street addresses, and many Native Americans don't have them.
I think that the story really begins in 2011. Because in 2011 is when the legislature first considered a voter ID bill. And when they did that, they were informed of a couple of crucial things. The first is that many Native Americans lack residential street addresses. And not only are these homes unmarked, but people don't have consistent addresses. What we know about Native Americans in North Dakota is that there's a severe housing crisis. And what that means is that people are moving from home to home with great frequency.
Many homes have 2 or 3 families living there. Most of those people in there will not have street addresses. I have a son that lives with me, and I have 4 grandchildren. And at times, my household goes up to 15, 16 people. All relatives, primarily because of lack of housing. That's just a fact of life around here.
And so in 2011, on a widespread bipartisan basis, the legislature rejected the voter ID bill. They all had concerns about disenfranchisement. And then in 2012, Heidi Heitkamp was elected to Senate by an incredibly slim margin. Her win was widely credited to the Native American vote. The very next legislative session, the legislature ended up passing the voter ID bill.
Final tally on House Bill 1332, the bill is passed.
What that meant for Native Americans in North Dakota is that they were forced to have an ID that either they didn't possess or was lacking in the critical information of the residential street address. This, as expected, in 2014 had a widespread disenfranchising effect, meaning that the Native Americans were being widely turned away at the polls. And so in 2016, NARF filed a lawsuit alleging discrimination under the Constitution and Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
The Supreme Court declined to consider a challenge to a North Dakota law that requires voters to show proof of their residential address at the polls, putting the law into effect just weeks before the midterms.
Unfortunately, the Supreme Court did not end up intervening, and that's when there was a large Get Out the Vote campaign on the reservations.
We were challenged, but the bottom line, the ultimate decision, we were going to vote. They're testing us, we're testing them back. We were vigorous, we were vigilant. No one was going to deny us a vote. We did a school bus, we put Sitting Bull's picture on there. They all got on the buses and went to different neighborhoods. It was exciting. It showed the movement, the action, the racing, the running, the rallying, and the momentum that our people gained.
Tribal governments responded really strongly. They started issuing IDs for free, which is something that they typically can't afford to do.
Within a couple of weeks, there was over 800 tribal IDs distributed to our tribal members. We made sure that those IDs had physical addresses on them so they could vote.
The second question is, do you have a valid ID?
This was a plan of action which the Standing Rock Sioux tribe and our allies had taken against the policies and the laws of the state of North Dakota.
And we're going to mobilize our people like we've never mobilized before. We did it. We did an incredible job, and the people voted. We prevailed in spite of all of the negatives.
The change in America has occurred because somebody thought that they could make a difference. The changes did not come from Wall Street, or the White House, or the Congress, the courts. They always started by some young person who thought that they could in fact make a difference. Rosa Parks got on a bus one day. The sign above the driver's head read, "The colored seat from the rear, white seat from the front. Violators will be punished by law." She refused to go to the back of the bus.
Yes, she did.
And she was arrested. Dr. King went to her rescue, a 26-year-old student, and told her, "Better that you walk in dignity than ride in shame. One person can make a difference." In 1957, 9 students at Little Rock Central High in Arkansas went to school one day led by the Army. They refused to bow. They made a difference. In the next few years, young America died that we might live. Medgar Evers was killed in cold blood about this right to vote. Sojourner Goodman and chained 2 Jews and an African American were bulldozed to death with their eyes wide open in Philadelphia, Mississippi, about this right to vote. Jimmy Lee Jackson's 15-year-old African American student shot and killed in Marion, Alabama, about this right to vote. 4 darling little girls blown up in the church in Birmingham, Alabama one Sunday morning, all about the right to vote. They made a difference.
Made a difference. Yes, yes.
You must make a difference. Whenever students are sober and sane and sensitive and put hope in their brains and not dope in their veins, they can always make a difference.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
Because they died, your generation has the power. Today, high school seniors should come across that stage with a diploma in one hand and a voter card in the other, because they can make a difference. College students must vote. You have the power. You must not have the attitude. It's not my aptitude, but my attitude that determines my altitude or how high I will go. My mind is a pearl. I can learn anything in the world. Just because it rains, I don't have to drown. I may have been born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. I can rise above my circumstance. Hands that once picked cotton can now pick